Hey yogis, welcome to this demonstration video of Surya Namaskar B. Surya Namaskar B is very much like Surya Namaskar A, but we have a couple of additional postures in here. One being Utkatasana chair pose, which is beautiful for building strength in the quads and continuing warming up the body. And then our second variation is that we actually move through to Virabhadrasana A or Warrior One pose. I am going to give you a modification here, and that modification will be to move into crescent lunge. So if you're just beginning out on your yoga journey, moving through crescent lunge can actually be a really nice alternate pose or shape to Warrior One until you get that grounded solid connection and the familiarity with Surya Namaskar B. So without further ado, let's get started. Again, if you are working through building strength, feel free to use Ashtanga Namaskar as you come into Chaturanga. You can drop to the knees and use that half push-up pose, or you can move through full Chaturanga. Perfectly up to you, yogi's choice. Do what feels best for your body, and remember to look after this very complex joint, the shoulder, and build strength in the upper body so that you can move successfully from one variation to the next. Let's get started. So again, I'm coming to the top of my mat. I'm finding my Tadasana, my feet are grounded and connected to the earth. You'll notice that I'm lifting my toes here, and as I do that, I actually spread my toes back down onto the earth. What this does is helps with my balance and the grounded connection of the whole foot down to the mat. So we're starting here in our Tadasana pose. Our first move, instead of reaching up high, is that we're going to actually exhale the breath and inhale and lift to Utkatasana. So the hands are lifted. I'm going to shorten the distance between the ribs and the hips, drawing my belly back to the spine, and my hips sink a little lower here. My gaze is towards my fingertips or my thumbs. As you exhale, bring the hands to heart center and deep forward fold into your Uttanasana. Inhale, flat back, fingertips or shins. Exhale, hands, palms plant. Step back into plank. So yogi's choice, I'm going to drop the knees here. I'm going to bring the elbows into the ribs. Inhale, come through cobra and lift into Urdhva Mukha, upward facing dog. So the front of my feet are down on the mat. My knees are lifted. My quadriceps are lengthened. And I'm lifting the heart space towards the sky. As I exhale, I'm going to roll over my toes, come into downward facing dog. Here we move to Warrior One, Virabhadrasana A. You're going to lift the right foot. I've kept my hips square here to the mat. So if I was to open my hips, I'd be going like this. I'm going to close my hips and bring them back here so that they are square to the mat. And then step my right foot forward towards my right hand. So this is your crescent lunge variation. Inhale and lift. So what's happening here? Knees at right angles and tracking towards the midline. I'm stretching and lengthening through my hip flexors on my left leg. My left heel is lifted and my kneecap is lifted. So I'm lengthening all the way through the back of that leg. I'm going to shorten the distance between the ribs and the hips. So drawing the belly back to the spine, that's going to increase the stretch through this region in the hips. Inhale and lift the hands. And this is your crescent lunge. Exhale, release the hands, palms down to the mat. Step back to plank and take a vinyasa. So again, I'm going to drop to the knees, elbows into the ribs. Inhale, shoot forward and lift into Urdhva Mukha, or you can use Bhujangasana Cobra pose. Exhale, hips lift, heels plant, and you're back in your downward facing dog. Then the left heel lifts, again the squared hips. So remember, I'm not opening the hips here, I'm keeping this square, still drawing belly to spine. As I exhale, this knee comes through, foot steps next to the hand. Now if you struggle in that space and you're kind of like going, feel free to, until you get used to the moves, to actually lift and adjust that foot. Don't be afraid of making the adjustments that are going to work for you. Hands, palms plant. Inhale and lift. Here I am in crescent lunge. So again, 90-degree angle in this knee is tracking towards the midline. I'm lifting up and out of this leg, so it's lengthening, the back heel is lifted. I can come down a little bit lower, and it's quite a big space here to open up into that right hip flexor this time. And you can see this from the other side, shortening of that distance between the ribs and the hips, belly draws to spine. Heart lifts a little, and my arms are lifted, but the shoulder blades are still drawing down the back. You can tuck the chin gently into the chest here. So this is your crescent lunge. Exhale, hands, palms plant, step back to plank, and take your vinyasa. So you're going to exhale, inhale, this is your baby cobra, and then you can lift up into Urdhva Mukha, upward facing dog. Exhale, roll back, downward facing dog. You've got 3 breaths here. Inhale, exhale 1, inhale, exhale 2, inhale, exhale 3. Gentle inhale, bend to the knees, and you're coming back to Utkatasana. So drop the hips here, and you can see how this is allowing me to get a little bit lower into this space. Inhale, try and stay down, lift the hands. Belly to spine, shorten that distance between the ribs and the hips. Heart space lifts, hands lift a little higher, shoulders down the back, hands to heart center, and return to Tadasana. So that is your variation of your Surya Namaskar B. I'm just going to turn the mat around so that you can see the difference between a Warrior 1 and Crescent Lunge in this little demo, and move through that variation for you. So if you're in, I'll just move through Surya Namaskar B. So sweep the hands, inhale, lift. Exhale back through to Uttanasana, deep forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, hands, palms plant. Step back to plank. I'm just going to move on a little bit closer to the back of the wall there. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale back, Ardha Mukha, press back. Try and adjust the feet as you move through downward dog. Leave the hands planted where they are. So, crescent lunge. Inhale, hips are square. Exhale, step forward. So you can see here, both my feet are tracking forward towards the front of the mat. And they're hips distance apart. So they're not crossed over here, they're not super wide. My hips are here, so I'm going to adjust my foot. So it's pretty much where your plank pose was, that same adjustment. If we're moving into Warrior 1, the difference is, I'm going to step that right foot a little bit out, and I'm going to drop that back heel down, and this is your Warrior 1. So what you've got here is a little external rotation of that left leg. And I'm still going to ask you to keep the hips square and drop down into that front knee. Draw belly to spine and then lift. And what you'll feel, the difference, is a little bit different into that hip opening in the space with this external rotation of the thigh. So with the knife edge of that outside foot, I'm going to start pressing that knife edge into the earth, and that's going to ground and connect me into this space. So if you do, or are lucky enough to have a mirror in your abode, use that to check where the square of your hips are. Otherwise you can drop the hands onto the hips and just feel your way into this space. And be a yogi explorer here. Feel free to move around and adjust. And then the hands, palms pressed together here in Warrior 1. We're going to exhale, come back down to the mat, step back into plank, and take your variation of your vinyasa. So if you're going to drop the knees, elbows into the ribs, inhale, shoot forward into Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, press back, Ardha Mukha. Hips remain square here in your downward facing dog. You're going to lift left foot. Exhale as you step that left foot to left hand. Here we are coming up crescent lunge. So we've been through the crescent lunge, knee tracking forward, lifting up into that back heel. We're going to come into the Warrior 1, into your Warrior 1. So you can just step that foot slightly further to the right side of the mat and drop the heel. And you can even, I just made that adjustment there with my left foot, which you've seen. So that means my left foot is going to come underneath my hips because I was a little bit close there. So if you are in crescent here and you drop that heel, see what happens to my hips here. If I step my left foot out to the side of the mat, I have the opportunity to move and adjust my hips and my knee. I'm driving the right outside edge of my back foot into the mat and feeling that opening in the hips. So whatever variation you're taking, just explore into that space. Feel the difference in that opening in the with the external rotation of that back leg, and still try to come down and explore in that space what it is that you're working with here. And then of course arms up over the head, hands, palms press, And you can keep doing those little micro adjustments in this space as you come out. Exhale, hands, palms plant, step back, take a vinyasa, exhale, chaturanga, inhale, Urdhva Mukha, exhale, press back, Ardha Mukha. And as we come into Utkatasana, I'm going to bend the knees, step forward, chair pose, squeezing my legs, lifting belly to spine, drop the hips back and sit back in that chair. Exhale, hands to heart center and back to your Tadasana. So you can see that just in that short demonstration, Surya Namaskar A and B, if you get through 5 sets of those, really should build a little heat or tapas within the body. Then you have that variation whether you want to use Warrior 1 as you move into Surya Namaskar B, or if you'd like to use Crescent Lunge. Both are really fabulous postures, slightly similar in some respects, but then that external rotation of the leg in Warrior 1 does add, I think, an extra degree of challenge there as learners in the yoga space. So practice away, my yogi friends, enjoy, and I will see you on the